all allegations of misconduct and all internal investigations, if any, along with any village, state, and federal law violation.
In a dramatic twist, former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot has taken the stand in a highly publicized court case involving current Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Lightfoot's testimony has sent shockwaves through Chicago's political scene, marking a rare instance of a former mayor directly accusing a sitting mayor of misconduct. The case, which has gripped public attention, revolves around serious allegations of corruption, abuse of power, and a fierce rivalry between two prominent political figures in Illinois. Let's delve into the key elements of the testimony, the accusations, and the potential implications for both.
Investigation could be stunted before it even begins. Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who wasn't present Monday, has the power to veto Lightfoot's appointment.
It's obvious that a veto will happen, but we have the majority.
Both Lightfoot and Henyard. The court case originates from a series of accusations against Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the current mayor of Dolton, a suburb of Chicago. Henyard faces charges of corruption, misuse of office, and unethical behavior during her tenure. The case gained momentum when whistleblowers and opposition figures claimed that Henyard violated both local and state laws by misusing public funds, awarding contracts based on favoritism, and obstructing justice. While rumors of misconduct had circulated for some time, the case truly gained traction when Lightfoot agreed to testify. Her decision to come forward is seen as a turning point in the investigation, given her deep understanding of Chicago's political landscape and her years of public service. Lori Lightfoot, who served as Chicago's mayor from 2019 to 2023, had mostly stayed out of the public eye after her term ended. However, reports suggest that she has long been concerned about Henyard's leadership and governance in Dolton. Sources close to Lightfoot indicate that she suspected misconduct in Henyard's administration and felt a civic responsibility to speak out. During her court appearance, Lightfoot was composed and precise, outlining several instances where she claimed Henyard's actions violated ethical standards for public officials. One of Lightfoot's key accusations was that Henyard funneled taxpayer money into private projects, including properties owned by individuals close to her administration. These transactions allegedly lacked proper oversight and violated state financial regulations. Lightfoot also pointed to several contracts awarded by Henyard's office that seemed to favor friends and family members, raising further concerns about corruption. According to Lightfoot's testimony, several lucrative contracts were allegedly awarded to firms with personal connections to Henyard without proper bidding processes. This favoritism is said to have undermined fair competition, resulting in substandard services for the residents of Dolton. Lightfoot further accused Henyard of actively interfering with investigations into her administration, citing multiple instances where investigators were allegedly blocked from accessing key documents and witnesses, actions that Lightfoot argued amounted to obstruction of justice. During Lightfoot's testimony, the prosecution presented various documents and records to support her claims. Bank statements and public accounts were reportedly shown to the jury, revealing discrepancies in spending within Henyard's administration. These records allegedly demonstrated significant funds being allocated to projects lacking transparency, many of which were linked to businesses with close personal ties to Henyard. The court also reviewed email exchanges between Henyard and her staff, which allegedly outlined efforts to direct city contracts to favored businesses. In some emails, there appeared to be clear instructions to bypass standard procurement procedures. Several former employees of Henyard's administration testified in favor of Lightfoot's claims, offering first-hand accounts of unethical practices. These whistleblowers detailed how they were directed to manipulate documents or ignore questionable financial transactions under Henyard's orders. In response, Henyard's legal team attempted to discredit Lightfoot's testimony, arguing that her accusations were politically motivated and intended to damage Henyard's reputation due to their past political conflicts. Henyard's lawyers noted that Lightfoot had been a vocal critic of Henyard even before the allegations surfaced, suggesting her testimony was biased and driven by personal hostility. Henyard herself took the stand following Lightfoot's testimony, vehemently denying the charges. She characterized the allegations as part of a larger conspiracy orchestrated by her political opponents to remove her from power. Henyard insisted that her actions as mayor were lawful, and any financial discrepancies were due to administrative errors rather than intentional misconduct. However, on Tuesday night, tensions escalated in the south suburbs as Dolton Mayor and Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard faced new conflicts with local trustees and residents. The controversy centered around financial transparency, with the Thornton Township Board again operating without an established budget, prompting trustees to demand more clarity from Supervisor Henyard regarding her expenditures, which affect 17 communities. In the southern suburbs, Thornton Township trustee Carmen Carlisle praised Lori Lightfoot's efforts in Dolton, stating, "She did such a great job. I would welcome her to come and do the same here at Thornton." Trustees at Thornton Township have called for investigations and more transparency around expenditures, similar to Lightfoot's approach in Dolton, where Tiffany Henyard holds a leadership role. The trustees allege that unapproved items are consistently added to the board's agenda, and despite not being approved, somehow end up charged to the township's credit card. "That's one of the reasons we're doing this," said trustee Chris Gonzalez. Henyard, however, claimed the board is engaging in theatrics, accusing them of jealousy and envy. She labeled the actions as hate, but acknowledged that questionable spending had led to the failure of her neighborhood senior bingo program. Carlisle countered that while the prizes for bingo were claimed to be donations, they were actually being purchased by Thornton Township, with costs getting out of hand. Henyard retorted that the board's desire to end the program was sad and argued that they had nothing better to do. Henyard proposed an audit spanning the last decade, claiming the township was in financial disarray before her tenure, but the board limited the audit to her past 3 years in office. "I am the leader and supervisor of Thornton Township, and I demand respect," she stated, though Carlisle fired back. "Respect is earned, not demanded." Tensions escalated during a public comment session when an attendee compared Henyard to an animal, prompting police to intervene. Henyard asserts she has pulled the township out of deficit, but has yet to provide documentation to substantiate these claims. The unrest in Dolton has also led to legal battles in Cook County Court, where a judge was asked to hold Mayor Tiffany Henyard in contempt for allegedly interfering in village affairs despite warnings. On September 25th, Judge Thaddeus Wilson issued a temporary restraining order blocking Henyard's attempts to appoint a new village administrator, attorney, and police chief without the trustees' consent. On Thursday, trustees opposed to Henyard returned to court, accusing her of violating a court order by instructing a vendor to revoke Keith Freeman's access to the village's licensing and permitting software. Freeman, who had served as Henyard's chief advisor in both Dolton and Thornton Township, lost her support after collaborating with her adversaries, prompting Henyard to attempt to terminate him. The trustees claim that Henyard's nominee for police chief, who was barred from taking office by a judge, has not returned his badge, uniform, or keys to the police station. They also allege that Henyard's associates interfered with their efforts to change the locks on village buildings to limit access for laid-off former employees. Henyard's attorney, Max Solomon, assured the court that she was cooperating, stating, "She has promised to follow your order, and she will," despite a stern warning from the judge. Henyard was not found in contempt. The judge warned both parties, saying, "I promise you, I don't have a problem enforcing my rulings. This is fair warning to both sides." After the hearing, Solomon told WGN, a News Nation affiliate, that the trustees' claims were false and dramatic and meant to discredit the community. He added that Henyard was a victim of factional politics, caught in a situation where communication and cooperation were lacking. On Tuesday, Henyard instructed Village Administrator Freeman to be present at the Village Hall from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays and to provide daily written reports of his activities. Henyard's administration previously claimed that Freeman was frequently absent and neglecting his duties, leading to their desire to terminate him. During a meeting that evening, the Thornton Township Board of Trustees remained silent, as Supervisor Henyard passionately raised concerns about budget expenditures, accusing the trustees of halting progress by rejecting her team's proposals without offering any solutions of their own. Henyard's management of Dolton's finances as mayor is under investigation. Former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who is leading the inquiry, revealed last month that Dolton's general fund had a negative balance of $365 million. The FBI has also launched an investigation into Dolton Village Hall, although the individuals under scrutiny remain unidentified. If the FBI seeks information regarding the village's finances, Henyard will be obligated to fully cooperate. But wait, could Tiffany Henyard really be attempting to leave the country just as new damning evidence against her and several members of her board of trustees comes to light? It seems the long-anticipated arrest is imminent. Those who once protected Tiffany from incarceration have now turned against her, especially after Lori Lightfoot presented them with compelling and unprecedented evidence. Although Tiffany managed to refute earlier claims, this new revelation has clearly shaken her, as it could spell her downfall. The situation has intensified, with some Board of Trustees members now demanding her immediate arrest, fearing she may try to flee the country. As for Lori Lightfoot, she's the former mayor of Chicago, recently appointed by the Dolton Board of Trustees as a special investigator in a corruption case involving Tiffany. This appointment came after earlier investigations yielded no substantial results. However, Lori's involvement has sparked skepticism, with some residents questioning her integrity and fearing she might protect Tiffany instead of pursuing justice. There are rumors circulating in the Dolton community that Lori might have been involved in the corruption, and some believe she withheld critical evidence that could lead to Tiffany's arrest, giving her time to avoid accountability. Adding to the drama, a recent town hall meeting descended into chaos when Tiffany and her aunt attempted to silence Lori as she updated the community on her investigation. Many viewed the entire event as orchestrated, sparking backlash against the Board of Trustees for hiring someone perceived as equally corrupt. One observer commented, "It's a joke. A corrupt mayor being investigated by an even more corrupt mayor." Another remarked, "This is just one corrupt mayor replacing another." Despite the controversy, the flood of accusations against Lori seemed to push her to dig deeper into Tiffany's wrongdoing. She didn't hold back, revealing a mountain of evidence. Lori uncovered that when Tiffany took office, Dolton's general fund had a healthy balance of $561 million. By May 2024, however, that balance had dropped to a shocking deficit of $365 million. To make matters worse, Lori exposed detailed credit card records showing thousands of dollars in lavish online purchases by Tiffany while she was supposed to be handling official duties. The situation continues to worsen. Lori Lightfoot's investigation revealed that by June 18, 2024, an astounding 589 checks, totaling over $6 million, were approved and printed but never sent to the vendors. These vendors, many of whom rely on those payments to support their families, were left waiting. Yet, it seems Tiffany was indifferent to their plight, prioritizing her own desires and using the funds to sustain her extravagant lifestyle. Tiffany's misuse of Dolton's funds extended far beyond lavish vacations and billboards flaunting her image. Lori uncovered that Tiffany was also bribing police officers for special privileges. While the specifics of these favors remain unclear, it's evident they were far from innocent, especially given Tiffany was
when I started seeing these numbers. So I can imagine how all of you are feeling after all this time being in the dark.
Trustees hired Lori Lightfoot after months of chaotic meetings in which they accused Tiffany Henyard of recklessly spending
thousands on overtime pay. Strangely, this illicit activity went unnoticed until Lori initiated her investigation. You're likely feeling the same shock we did when we learned that Lightfoot questioned 3 Amazon purchases made in a single day, totaling over $43,000, along with a mysterious $7,699 Wayfair order. Lori also discovered 2 police officers had received overtime pay exceeding their annual salaries. The first officer, with a salary of $87,000 for fiscal year 2024, collected a staggering $114,000 in overtime. The second officer, with an annual salary of $73,000, earned $112,000 in overtime for the same period. The room was filled with gasps when it became clear that Tiffany had paid these 2 officers more in overtime than their base salaries, yet no one seemed to question these glaring discrepancies. Once the FBI got involved, Lori presented her evidence, leading to the issuance of 2 subpoenas. Federal agents began combing through Tiffany's properties in search of more incriminating evidence. The first subpoena targeted personnel files, tax documents, time and attendance records, as well as checks from Tiffany's various ventures, including her restaurant, property management company, political action committee, and a charity named after her. In the follow-up subpoena, authorities sought additional financial documents from the township, including budget reports, payroll records, credit card expenditures, expense reports, and details related to security and vehicle usage during the investigation. Investigators have uncovered a substantial amount of incriminating evidence. In response, Tiffany's access to Dolton's accounts has been suspended until the investigation is completed to prevent further embezzlement. The Board of Trustees has also imposed a freeze on credit card spending during the ongoing federal investigation. Meanwhile, the situation is continuing to develop. As town hall meetings are held and decisions are made, Lori Lightfoot is reportedly digging deeper into the case. Rumors suggest she's now scrutinizing others who may have aided Tiffany in her corrupt activities. While the evidence remains confidential, reports suggest it could be a decisive blow against Tiffany. Public opinion on the matter is divided. One individual commended Lori Lightfoot, praising her thorough investigation and noting the significant issues she has uncovered. Even though the investigation is still ongoing, they expressed relief that residents and trustees are finally getting answers. On the other hand, another commenter expressed frustration, saying that with inflation at an all-time high, the Henyard administration seems to be recklessly endangering residents' lives without concern for their well-being, declaring that heads will roll. This case has had wide-reaching effects on Chicago's political scene. Lightfoot's decision to testify against Henyard has reignited discussions about corruption and governance in the city's suburbs. Though Chicago has a long history of political scandals, this case has brought attention to smaller municipalities like Dolton. Many observers believe Lightfoot's involvement could signal her return to public life, possibly setting the stage for a political comeback. Some political analysts think that Lightfoot, who left office with mixed approval ratings, may view this case as a chance to rehabilitate her image and reestablish herself as a champion of transparency and accountability in government. Meanwhile, Henyard's political future is in jeopardy. If convicted, she could face significant consequences, including removal from office, fines, and possibly jail time. Even if acquitted, the damage to her reputation may be irreversible. as the allegations have already eroded public trust in her leadership. The public remains deeply divided. Lightfoot supporters applaud her bravery in stepping forward, seeing her testimony as crucial to addressing corruption in local government. Many view her as a hero, standing up for ethical leadership despite reigniting old political rivalries. That wraps up today's video. Stay tuned to We Are Trending, and we'll catch you in the next one.